Welcome to Toffee TV. It's the daily extra here on Patreon. You beautiful people. Big news last night. Marcel Brands has joined Everton's board. Something that when John Blaine was in, when he joined, not long after he joined, I did ask him at the time, you know, would this be a move that really should have happened from the start? John at the time, I suppose, was not non-committal, but probably just thought, well, fella's only just come through the door, so why? But I always thought, well, if you're a director of something, shouldn't you be a director? Anyway, come January, he is the director of football and also on the board at Everton now. So, what does this mean, Baz? What does this mean for Everton Football Club?
It means Marcel Brands on the board.
Thanks, Baz.
Okay, what have we done?
Big bucks.
I mean, I spoke to John. John's been in today. And
yeah, don't reveal too much. There's a video out. You know what I mean?
No, I know. So I'm saying check the video, but we did talk about this. Well, what John did say, just a little part of that, was that Farhad Moshiri had said to John when he joined that the director of football was being appointed with the intention of being a board member. Obviously, Steve Walsh never lived up to his bill, and so he was never offered that position on the board. So quite clearly, there's a comparison between Walsh and Brands. Brands has been here 6 months and is on the board, where Walsh was here, you know, for 18 months, 2 years, and never made it to that. So quite obviously he's impressed within the short time, internally as well as obviously externally for us. So I think it's good, because I think now what you're doing is you've got someone on the football side of it, properly running the football side of it, who can sit on the board and hear both sides, I suppose, give his side to the people who are just the business side of it, who might be going, there's no money for that or whatever, and he can be there arguing that case, but also hearing where the money is and justifying both sides of it. So I think it's important.
I generally feel like he just runs the club now. No, but I think the fact that we knew he'd come in, he was the director of football. A lot of people were like, what does he do? I've still urged people who are in football and mightn't like it, say, a glorified scout. But he's not a glorified scout at all. Maybe the last fella was, but this fella runs the football side of things from top to bottom. You know, he's gone in there. He has straight away been using his connections to get his signings. He's gone in there and he's, you know, stripped out the academy. I was talking to Steve Hoddesall this morning, and he'd had Mark Quayle on early on. Now, Mark Quayle is a former Everton player. You know, probably left the club when he was about 18 or 19. And he's been doing a bit of scouting. Now, a bit of scouting in the old days was effectively give someone a job to walk around the football pitches of Merseyside in an Everton trackie, looking important, to see if you could spot someone. It was, you know, it was giving someone a job that has come through the ranks. You know, maybe that would lead to something else. And he said that Mark had said that, you know, everything had been, the person actually who gave him the job had been, I think sacked was the word.
Okay.
So I think Marcel Brands has gone on there and straight away looked at how things are being run, and I think Everton for a long time, even though it's got this academy banner and all the rest of it, we like to think of ourselves as a really forward thinking club. I still think it had a lot of old school mentalities like that, like just sending people out who just happen to be former players or you know, someone who knew somebody, and give them a trackie and give them a couple of quid and said, go out there and scout the local area. And I think what he's done is come in and just gone, no, that's not how we're doing things. Things are getting done properly, technically getting done properly, and we're starting from the bottom and working up. So I think
Mark's still working.
Mark, I think, is still working. Yeah,
I know. Knew Mark, not knew him properly, but knew him when I worked there. He was a very nice lad.
Yeah, he's a sound fella. I actually
good goal scorer actually, and at youth level, very good.
Yeah, I played in only one game for the Sunday League team with him. I obviously wasn't quite good enough for that team, so
but
because it was one of those teams like that was full of
lads at clubs.
Lads at clubs that wasn't maybe. I mean, I had different opinions, I think. But so I think he's still there, but it does seem like he's got a plan for that, and I think that plan runs through the club, the whole of the club, and I think what it does by being on the board, in my opinion, is the club have looked at him and gone, number one, have gone, he's really, really good at his job. So almost like, what more can we do for him? What more responsibility can we give him? Right, let's get him on the board, because we think his ideas could actually cross, or not cross over, because I think it's important that the people on the board, and this is what it looks like anyway, that the people on the board all have their own responsibilities now, don't they?
Really do. I mean, quite clearly they do.
Yeah, so, which is not always something you could say about Everton in the past. There was just people on the board and you were like, well, he's got so many shares.
Well, Robert Elstone ran the club, and again, you know, we spoke about this on the interview, but Denise last night has changed the way AGMs are done. And you had the people who are responsible for everything talking last night. So you had Denise, you had Sasha, you had Keith Harris, without Orwell, you had Marcel and Marco, and you also had Farhad Moshiri and Bill Kenwright. So you had everyone there who's responsible for every side of things. And that's what's changed ultimately, I think, with Everton, is that there's a face for everything now. So you've got a finance director, so you've got Sasha, and you've got the Bramley Moore Stadium, the thing, you've got Keith Harris for that. Denise obviously oversees a lot of that. So it is good, and it's what's good about having Marcel. First of all, this is a fella who's got a proven track record at doing this job. It's not a fella who you've gone, oh, he's quite knowledgeable about football, let's make this job for him, give him it, which I think is happened in some football clubs. Dennis Wise, for argument's sake, gone to Newcastle, and you know, or Steve Walsh at Everton. You know, Steve Walsh was a scout and an assistant coach at Leicester, but then became. It's all very well having a good football knowledge, but you haven't got a business side of it as well. You've got to be good at business. Otherwise, if it was easy, loads of ex-players would do it, and it'd be easy to do, wouldn't it? You know, we've all watched a lot of football. People who watch this will have an extensive knowledge of football players. Could we all go and run the club and be in business meetings and know how it works? No. And just because you know how to do something doesn't necessarily mean you're really good at it. And Marcel Brands has done it across 2 or 3 clubs, so he's proven in his field, and he's come in and gone, this is what we want. What I like about him is so far he's done everything he said he'd do. When he done his first interview, he said the immediate thing is getting players in now for Marco for this, because we're in the transfer window, we need to address that. Then I'll start looking at the other stuff. That's what he did. He went and got half a dozen players in. They're all in our first team, every one of them. None. Can you name one and go, he hasn't really worked, has he? He got that one wrong. Really, you look at everyone and go, they've all been really good. Then it was, you can see, like you just said, he's stripping back the academy. I mean, Denise did mention last night the academy's at £4.5 million in money put into it, more than they'd had over the last 3 years. So quite clearly Everton increasing what they do with that. And this fella, you've got someone who's done it and come from a culture that is really promote youth, build your own players up and sell them for big money, which ultimately that's what happens in Holland. And you know, he's come into here and he's seen the way we've done it, and we kind of done it upside down. We've got a brilliant academy, we have, in terms of making football players. Go and have a look across how many leagues there are. Everton, we've been great at getting players into our first team pool, so to speak, but it needs improving further still, because like I think it was Denise said last night, in terms of spending, we can spend 46 pence or 41 pence against 60 against a pound what other clubs are spending, so we have to do it differently.
Yeah, because I think what was telling, what one of the things that got said last night was regarding Farhad saying about spending and saying, you know, people saying about he said, you know, we lost John Stones, we lost Ross Barkley, we lost Romelu Lukaku, and he said, you know, John Stones, you're a lad on low wages, but we sold him at a big price. So then to replace him, you're going to have to pay a big price and bring in someone with high wages. Same with Ross, same with Romelu. He said, you know, Romelu Lukaku's on, he said 75,000, didn't he? You sell him for nearly 100 million or 100 million, and then you're looking then, and you're going to have to bring someone in on double the wages and at least what you're selling them for. So I think the Brands thing in the first place was almost like, well, and also we brought in players that we were paying £100,000 a week for, paying 40 million for them, and we were getting nothing back for them, or 20 million, 30 millions for the, you know, for the likes of Snyder and the likes of Balassi and people like that, and he must have been looking at it going, what we're paying and the wages we're paying is extortionate, and we're not getting the quality in. So that's obviously why he went for Brands and thought we can.
Well, he wanted him first, didn't
yeah.
he? It's just he couldn't get him.
Again, it was like, you know, I was on the radio and I saw him, like, Steve was saying to me on Radio City about, like, well, you know, who could you bring in? I said, well, look at Dean straight off the bat. You looked at him and you look at him now and you think, we paid buttons for him. He's probably not on mad wages, and who in the summer could have said, oh, we should buy Luca Dean? Who said that? Nobody said that. So straight away he's demonstrated that he knows footballers and he knows the market. He said that's what you bring these people in for. That they know these, that they're not just like blinded by, oh, you know, the kid at Crystal Palace, the right back. Everyone's raving about him. Used to say there's not 2 or 3 players like that in France and in Germany or in Spain. Do you know what I mean? Who used to say that?
South America.
Exactly. So we used to say that's not happening, but because we're in a bubble and we're blinded by, because that's all you see. That's his job, isn't it, to go and find those players? And I think that's the problem with football at the moment, is that because we're saturated with a certain kind of football, everyone gets attracted to these couple of players, and then it's, oh, they're amazing, and then the price goes. I mean, you're talking about a lad from Brentford, centre forward, going for 20 million quid, right? I don't even know what his name is. Not Wilson going to Chelsea for £50 million.
2 cruciate knee ligaments.
Where's the value in that? Where's the value? How could Everton possibly go to Bournemouth? You know, a team in and around them. Bournemouth are not skint. They don't need money. They've got a Russian owner who's got quite a lot of money. How could we approach them and say, they'd probably say, we won't stand in the player's way, but we want 50 and he wants 150 a week, because he knows he'll get it, because there aren't that many centre forwards knocking about, and that's the value in someone like Brands. So for me, I think now I'm really, on one thing I'm really happy, because I feel like if he's on the board, that who's to say now he could stick around at Everton for 10-15 years now.
Did you not think he would?
Well, no, but and the reason I say that is because he's not 40, and he's not English, and he's not British. So at some point I thought he's gonna want to go home at some point.
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to club hop. What I mean is that at some point he might just go, me and the missus just want to go home now, and you know what I mean? Because that's the life of a footballer.
Well, maybe, but see, I just think with him, he's the type of character. He is very loyal. And therefore, I think you're right. You know what you're saying. It quite obviously strengthens his position and his roots within the club. Of course, it does. And I'm no fears that he'd be here for 10 years, because I think that's what he set himself up for, 8 to 10 years here, because that's the kind of person he is, and he'll get the club going. But he's a board member, and if he's fit and in good health, then why wouldn't he stay till he's 70? If he likes it, why wouldn't he stay for 15 years? If he likes it, if he's enjoying it, and his wife enjoying it, and that's what it's about. But you're right, it does. What it does as well as also is it. And Denise Barrett-Baxendale said this, it strengthens Everton's commitment to the director of football to go, this is actually a board member's role now, and it's key into what we're doing as we move forward. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that you're literally going, we believe in this now.
Well, he hasn't got a boss.
Well, she's his boss.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean, there's no...
Well, he's head of the football side.
That's what I'm saying, and I think that hierarchy's been strengthened now between Marco Silva and him. I'm not saying I'm just saying that Marco Silva knows I was listening to Sarri before talking about Chelsea, and he was strikers, and they would summon a player, I can't remember, and he was just like, that's not my job. I don't sign players. I don't sell players. That's not my job. And it was just like, I knew that when I came in, because I have someone above me who does that. And I think
we were closer together.
No, I know that, but I think that's more in tune with where we're going, and I think that's really important. That is illustrated. That's there. But I also think him being on the board also strengthens Marco Silva's position as well, because I think what that says is, well, I'm here for the long term. And that means that it's a long-term plan, and so it's not a case of we're just going to sack the manager after 5 minutes. It's a long-term plan, and it's a long-term plan because what happened before it wasn't very good. And I don't just mean the last 2 or 3 years. I mean 15, 25 years. You know, so it has one trophy. You know, in 30 years, one trophy. Forget about so. And I think for that,
I'm having the chat.
Oh yeah, good, Vinny, big Vin. So I think that's important as well. So that says this is a long-term plan, and that the manager's involved in that.
I just think a lot of people were positive about it, and rightly so. The appointment, and it's a case of, if you're that positive about Marcel Brands, believe that he chose Marco Silva, so you have to then be positive about Marco Silva, because the person you're really positive about believes in the person you're saying. And I know it's a handful of people, I know it's not a big movement, but that's where we have to, as a whole process and as a fan base, we have to just go, this is a long-term project. It's not going to be right within 6 months. We've got to accept that. There's going to be shitty days.
What did you think though of Macheri saying he looks at the table and he's not happy?
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what, mate? I thought Denise Barrett-Baxendale saying we want to win the Premier League was brilliant. The other fella, fucking shied. He wouldn't have said it. He wouldn't have said we wanted to win a raffle. He wouldn't admit we wanted to win a raffle. The last fella, because it was all about damning, getting it, bringing all kinds of aspirations, make it as small as possible, and we deal with it from there. And then I can never be judged, because if we make 10 pence off a pie this season, I can say we've made a profit. She's like, nah, we want to be the best. And Macheri, you've got the man at the top saying, I look at the league table and 11's not good enough. The manager sat 3 fucking 4 streets away from him, hearing it, knowing everyone else is hearing it. Right, it's not good enough. Saying, I've spent this money to turn a museum into a competitive team. When we'll sit here going on about how great Everton are, well, every year that goes by, that greatness diminishes, because we're not reaffirming it. And I also thought was the best line of the night from him was, we've worked really hard to keep ourselves on the periphery of stuff. In other words, we've fucked up for years making sure we don't get into that top 6, which is what he said. And
see, that's an interesting line, that, because I think that could be taken both ways.
Oh, it could be taken in. We've stayed on the coattails without anything.
We've worked hard. Well, that's fine.
It was the other way. Because the reason why it was the other way, because he said, because we've now made massive strides in the last 6 months, which shows you that's what it's all about.
I mean, let's be honest, it's a huge year, because what they set out in the meeting in terms of trying to get a spade in the ground by next year, that's.
But didn't you think that was people have? I just thought it's right. It's what we said all along. Is that there's another consultation in May, then the planning permission will go in July. If it takes 5 months, that's December.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's.
But what it does is, if that's correct, if Keith Harris is correct, and we get a spade in the ground January, February next year, and he said the stadium will take 2 years to build, that means by May 2022 the ground's finished, which means that by August 2022 Everton could be playing in Bramley-Moore. So essentially what they may have done is under-promised, and to use one of John's lines, under-promise and over-deliver. And that might be what happens. It might not. There's a contingency still in there, of course, for 2023. But all of a sudden we might be further along than we think. And if that's the case, and it's 2022, then all of a sudden it becomes really exciting, because you're talking 3 years. you know, 3.5 years. So you kind of start going, well, hang on, that's a bit more tangible than 3.5 years than obviously what 4.5 years is. You know?
Just going back to Brands, he obviously said as well that, you know, didn't really expect anything to happen this month.
He's not going to say
no, I know, yeah.
I think the message he said, and people have took this, some people have took it one way and others have taken it another. I think, because he did say himself, didn't he, the other week, we discussed it, I think, on one of these extras, that it was a case of if we'd done anything, it'd be 1 in, 1 out, or 1 out, 1 in. It's when people like Marcel Brands talk in transfer, and Marco Silva in transfer respects, you have to read in between the lines, don't you? And I think what he was kind of indicating was, we're not gonna panic this month. But if something, it's like anything, if something presents itself that you think is too good an opportunity to miss, you'll take it.
Yeah, I think what he was saying was there's no rush to bring anyone in. We don't need to. I think basically what, you know, the season isn't defined by where we finish this season. It's defined how we play and
how we develop.
Yeah. So I think what he was saying is there's no panic for anyone. We might, if we need a short term, bring in something short term because of, I suppose, an injury or something, then we will. But in terms of like saying, oh, we're going to go and buy a £100 million striker, it's just not going to happen, I would imagine.
No, and he said there's no point bringing someone in to win 2 games, the next 2 games, but if they don't fit the long term plan, because they're gonna. You know, we kind of done this last January, didn't we? And unfortunately, it looks like at the moment, you know, Cenk Tosun isn't firing on all cylinders. Theo Walcott's, although I still think Theo's got a lot to offer, I think he's a bit up and down. So I guess also as well for me, it'll be dictated to by who goes. You know, we've got Schneiderlin, Nias, possibly James McCarthy, who knows, or potentially Cenk Tosun. You know, the team comes in for those kind of players and goes, we want to buy him and him. Are we going to let Schneiderlin go out the door and not replace him? Who knows?
Obviously Ghana as well, there's a lot of talk about
Ghana. A lot of talk with Ghana. So
well, that's the other side, that's the flip side, isn't it? Playing, people saying, oh, you don't want to pay silly prices in January. Well, maybe someone will come to us and want to pay silly prices for one of our players. And if they feel like, well, we can get on till the end of the season without that player, then maybe they'll be willing to do. But we'll wait and see. But it was a good meeting. There wasn't nothing loads sort of concrete came out of it, but you know, the Brands thing I thought was was good.
I think it was the Brands thing's obviously the big. I'm just looking at, we've done a poll thing. The Brands thing's quite good because, like I say, I think it just strengthens absolutely everything in terms of where we are, where he is, and where the football club's going in terms of the commitment to having that director of football. I think when you demonstrate that you believe in a new system, then at the end of the day, if you can back it up by bringing those players in and bringing that man in to strengthen that, like his position, director of football, everyone was, you know, some people in the summer were like, don't need one, they don't understand the role. The club is committed to it. Walsh has been in, and I don't think any of us knew what he did. We never seen him. We nearly know what he did. And yet we're seeing Marcel Brands down the tunnel.
He didn't prowl down corridors, did he?
Bouncing down, did he? So, but just on the AGM, I think overall it was a positive. When we run a little thing last night, were you happy with what you did? 1,000 votes, 91% yes. So that's quite a good.
How many no?
Won it. If it was Joe, you'd have to check. But you know, 1 in 9 out of 10 people are happy with what they've heard. So that's a big swing for other AGMs in the past, isn't it? Where
good stuff. Hopefully remains positive. We'll wait and see.
What did you think about before the capacity thing when it was broached, the 52 to 62,000 and the 10th? Only what we kind of knew, but the 10,000 seats would be made up by safe standards.
Yeah, I think you know, I think that's mostly positive. I know a lot of people mightn't think that, and maybe people might have thought, well, yeah, but that's safe standing. Is that ever? I get the feeling that football thinks that it's coming in at some point. I think football thinks that, and if people in football think that, I wouldn't have thought someone like Keith Harris would hang his hat on that. Spurs have done something similar. They've got room in their ground.
They've spoke Tottenham spoke today or yesterday about it as well, haven't he?
That says to me that maybe once other stuff gets put out the way, you know, that sort of big thing that's hanging over everyone's head, you know, maybe once that's sorted, they'll start pushing for it, and of course more time has gone on. So, listen, there's also I think once the whole Hillsborough trial happens as well,
maybe, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think you know, we can't say anything about that, but once that trial happens and those things take place, I think that might help as well, because I just think it hasn't been listen, conversation for another time, and I know we will do it, but I just think that obviously we got the inquest, and then once we got the inquest, people started saying, I think we're allowed to talk about this now, which was always the problem. People felt like they couldn't talk about it because it was still an ongoing thing, and I think once that happens, I think then it might be like people go, right, we can actually draw a line under this now, and we can say, right, we can do that thing, and I think it'll happen. So I think the club are quite confident it's going to come in, and I really hope it does. I
think it will, and I think the other thing as well, the other takeaway, I suppose, regarding the capacity was it's only a proposed.
Well, of course it is.
Capacity.
Spurs has kept on going up.
Yeah, it was 56 when they put it in, and then when they got planning permission, it was 62 all of a sudden. So, you know, Everton's could change between, and that's what the second public consultation will be in May. About the designs and the thing, and it's your opportunity again. If you think 52 is too low.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts on Marcel Brands. He is now a director at Everton Football Club. He's sitting on the board, making all those important decisions, like what kind of pies are going to be sold, and do we continue with those clever pint glasses where the beer comes up from underneath? They're the decisions Brands has got to make now. It's part of that.
Spurs are all over it.
Yeah, we were all over it first. Let us know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.